Adobe After Effects is a digital motion graphics and compositing software published by Adobe Systems. Now, it has a long history of being passed from company to company, but Adobe Systems are its latest publishers. This is a software where you can do all your motion graphics, visual editing, video editing, managing your audio, creating logo animations, creating different animations of texts, and let's say creating animations like montage animation, which consists of animation of pics and slides, etc. This is a very powerful software and is one of the most powerful softwares being used in today's time. This program is a layer-based program, and because of its layer-based properties, it is called as a 2.5D program. So Adobe After Effects is not actually a 3D program. Instead of being a three-dimensional program, it is a 2.5D program, which means that it gives the illusion of being in 3 dimensions. And by being layer based, it is meant that it behaves on a pattern of being on a top to bottom basis. Now you will get to know more about this in the later tutorials. For now, there is one thing I do want to tell you before we go further into the software. One thing that we need to remember is that if we save the After Effects file, it will be saved in the format of .aep format. Now .aep is After Effects project. So if you see any .aep files from now on, that means that those files are After Effects projects. So first of all, before even starting to tell you about all the panels, I would like to tell you about one feature that we have over here, that is the workspace. Now the workspace, as you can see, is simply like, for example, when you are working in an office, you set up your desk as you like, your files on left and all the paperwork on the right, or any way that you want, right? In the same way, you can set your workspace over here in this software. So for the purpose of this tutorial, we will be using the default standard workspace, and this workspace usually works the best when working in almost all types of the projects. So make sure you have the workspace as the standard. And for example, if you have messed the workspace up here and there, and even if you are changing it to the standard, it is not coming back to the original, you can just click over here, go to reset standard. Now when you click on this, it will ask, are you sure you want to reset standard to its original layout? Just select yes, and then your workspace will return to the default as it was. Now going on to the panels, over to your left, what you see is your project panel. This panel contains all your media, files, clips, anything that you need to work on or need it to be worked with are kept over here. Whatever you import into the After Effects or export from here are done from the project panel. Now over here is your timeline panel. This panel allows us to navigate through time in our clip and manage everything in layers, and we do all the animations in over here and we arrange them according to our needs. Now up in the middle we have this composition panel. In this panel we can view our media, we can preview the files, preview the effects that we have applied, and we can check and manipulate all the animations and settings over here in this composition panel. When you go on to your right, we have this info panel. Now in this info panel you will see two things over here, the X, Y and the RGBA. The X and Y are the coordinates of where your mouse is currently at. For example, when I move this mouse over in the composition panel, you will see the coordinates change according to the movement of my mouse. So this basically indicates where my mouse is at, and it is very useful in determining and aligning things in an exact manner. And the RGBA stands for red, green, blue and alpha, and this basically RGB values combined tell the color of where my mouse is pointing at right now. And since we don't have any footage or element, this won't show right now. So RGB will tell you the color, exact color, numerical values of where your mouse is pointing at currently, and the alpha basically stands for the transparency of the object where the mouse is currently at. The preview panel is used to preview footage, and we can just see and check out how we have ended up doing our animation, and we can prevent test our content through this panel. Below that we have the effects and presets panel. This panel gives a shortcut and quick to reach way of getting to the effects that we want. You can just type over here and you will get the exact animation. And what we have here is the toolbar. Above that is the menu bar, and above that is the title bar. A new composition. So let's start. In order to create a new composition, there are two ways. The first way is that we just go into the composition menu, click on the new composition, and then the new composition pop-up dialog box will appear. And then the second way is that you just click on this icon over here, and then a new composition will be created. So let's start learning how to make a new composition. The first one of the most important things is the composition name, because it allows us to organize and manage our files in a proper manner. Now, without a proper name, we will be confused what does the composition contain. So let us start off by naming it tutorial 3 new composition. Now moving on to the second main thing, preset. Now what is meant by this preset is the ratio of the width to the height. Now these presets are basically the standards used overall in the world. So there are many standards over here. Let's see. So these are the standards being used currently all over the world. For example, NTSC DV widescreen is currently being used in America, 720 by 480 pixel, and that is the resolution of the YouTube videos that you watch. But for the purpose of this tutorial, I will be currently using PAL DV widescreen square pixel. Now this is a standard of India. So according to Indian standards, I will be setting this. The height and width have already been adjusted. Now coming on to the next is the pixel aspect ratio. Now we have square pixels over here. So the pixel aspect ratio is just a mathematical comparison between the width of a pixel to the height of the pixel. So square pixel here means that the width and height of a pixel will be the same. Now the next thing is the frame rate. The frame rate is basically how many frames per second will be viewed in our composition. Any video is made up of a series of a photo. So if we move those photos fast enough, it will give the illusion of being in a video. That same thing happens over here. We just play those photos, or we can say we just play those frames in such a manner that it gives the illusion of being in a video. So this is the default standard 25 frames per second. We'll leave it to that. The resolution is what quality of the composition is being previewed over here in the composition. Now the next important thing is the duration. The duration is how long your composition is. For example, if you want to show a movie of a 10 minutes, let's say it's a short movie, so you will set here 10 minutes and then the time will be set to 10 minutes, 10 seconds and so on. I'll just delete this, and for the purpose of this tutorial I will leave it at 10 seconds and click OK. You can see a new composition has been created. Now this workspace is the default workspace that comes with all the Adobe After Effects programs. And this workspace basically works the best with almost all of our animating and all of our needs. So let's check out other workspaces over here. All panels, animation, effects, minimal, motion tracking, paint, text, undog panels. Now all these panels over here, as you can see by their name themselves, they have their specific tasks. For example, the all panels will contain all the panels. As you can see, composition, layer, footage, flowchart. And over here we have preview, info, audio, effects and presets, tracker, align, smoother, wiggler, motion scratch, mask interpolation, paint, brushes, paragraph, character. So all these panels get opened up when we select all panels, as we can understand by its name. For now we will be using the standard throughout all of our tutorials, and we will open up the new windows as needed. So let's select the standard. Now for example, if you want to create your own workspace, you can just come over here in the menu bar, go to the window and just select any of the window that you want. For example, I want the character window over here. So the character and effects and presets are open over here. I want my project panel to be longer and this to be a little wider. So if I set this as my typical workspace, then what I have to do is go to the workspace, click the drop down and select new workspace. We just have to name it and then click OK. So let's see workspace, tutorial workspace. So if we select standard, and as you can see the standard is not getting back to normal as it was. So as it was told in the previous tutorials, just select it, go to reset standard and hit yes. So this is the standard workspace, and we see we have our tutorial workspace over here, and when we select that, we will have our window that we wanted as we wanted. Let's go back to the standard workspace and let's learn about importing the media. You can import all kind of media over here in After Effects, and to do that you can go to File, Import, File or multiple files. Let's select File, and then you can import any file that you want. Another way to do that is double click in this empty area, and then you can import any image or any media that you want. For example, let's import this. Select the file. If you want to select multiple files, just click, hit Ctrl and select multiple files. If you want to select a whole row of files, click on the first image, hit Shift, click on the last, and all the files will be selected. If you want to deselect any, just click Ctrl and click on the specific images that you don't want, and then click Open. As you can see, all the images have been imported. Same way you can import any video or any other media inside of After Effects. Now, preferences is one of the very important thing that we need to set up before we start working actually into the software, because by the preferences we can set how we want our software to work as. So let's jump right into it. To set the preferences, we can just go to Edit, Preferences, General. Now as soon we click on that, we get lots of things over here. Don't worry, we will go through them one by one and they are easy. So the first thing you should do is the levels of undo. This determines how many steps you can get back in time when you make a blunder. So I would recommend setting that to 99. Unclick these two and keep all the other clicked. Now going on to the second thing over here is the previews. This sets that whenever we are previewing our work, how do we want it to be? So if you have a good graphics card, you can enable OpenGL. That means that it will use the potential of your graphics card along with the RAM to quickly preview the effects that you have done. When you click on OpenGL info, it will tell you about your graphics card. Just hit OK and make sure this one is the one that you are using. Hit OK. Here is the adaptive resolution limit. Now this automatically adapts the resolution of the preview that we are doing in order to cope up with the speed we are scrubbing through. You will understand it more when we work into it. And then going on to the next things, display. Now in display, motion path is basically when you give a certain path for your objects to move into. For example, if I give a circular path for my object, then my object will move in that path as I want. That is the use of the motion paths. Now most of the things over here we will learn about them in the later tutorials. So I will quickly go through only the important things that we need to know right now. For example, the first, autosave. Now this should be kept at save every 1 or 2 minutes, and maximum project versions can vary from 2 to 5. And check the automatically save projects. Now this saves a lot of work in case your software gets crashed and you forget to save. then you will have a saved version of 2 minutes before the crash happened. So make sure it is set to between 1 to 5 minutes and between 2 to 5 versions. Now coming on to the last thing, the memory and multiprocessing. This determines how fast or how much RAM the After Effects is taking. For example, I have my RAM reserved for other applications as 3 GB, and RAM available for After Effects here is 12.9 GB. 13 GB RAM of my computer is being used by the After Effects, and the 3 GB RAM is being used by the programs other than the After Effects. Now, if you check this, and if you have cores, so installed CPU cores here is 8. You can keep 1 or 2 cores for the other programs. RAM allocation per background CPU, you can set as you like, and then this will help in rendering at very fast speeds. But for now, I'll just untick that and hit OK. So these settings should be done before we start working into the software. We will learn more in the next tutorials. Thank you for watching.